Bitcoin has just crashed hard, and even though we are bouncing right now, this big move has shaken a lot of investors in this market. So what the actual heck is happening with Bitcoin right now? Should you be worried? Is this an abnormal situation? And during all of this crazy market action, what the heck has the big money been doing? My name is Lark, and this is where you subscribe for all of the hottest and all of the latest happening out here in the crazy markets. By the way, quick reminder that this week's issue of the Wealth Mastery Investor Report will be hitting inboxes on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, every single week, you are going to get a deep dive altcoin report. There's going to be a trending coin report, an interview with an industry leader, a DeFi tutorial, top tier technical analysis, the latest token sales, the latest airdrops, the most important news happening in the market, all of that and much more for less than $10 a week, making this one of the most value-packed and yet affordable investor reports in crypto. So go ahead and click on the link down below to learn more about becoming a member today, and don't miss out on another issue. Okay, let's talk about Bitcoin. Well, it's happened, guys. It's happened. We finally got a massive and relatively sustained correction for Bitcoin. But, Lark, I was told this time was different. Yes, it is different. Sure, big money investors are buying, hedge funds buying. It's always different, but at the same time, it's always the same because we all go through that same ballet of human emotions. Anyway, Bitcoin peaked at a low just under $30,000 yesterday, completing a brutal and fast 28.7% drop in about 3 days, bringing Bitcoin back to dramatic lows not seen since last week. A bit of perspective always helps in the market, guys. Bitcoin is currently bouncing higher, back up actually 15% since hitting the low around $30,000. This has now become our key zone of support for Bitcoin. The good news about the price reversal is that we also saw a massive amount of volume coming in here. In fact, we haven't seen volume that high since the big crash back in March. Now, this was in effect just a massive cascade of sellers and buyers swapping Bitcoin back and forth. We're going to talk a little more about who has been buying and selling, though, in a minute. But right now, what I think we really want to see for Bitcoin is to close back above the 50-period moving average on the 4-hour charts. Now, this is the pink line that you see here on the chart. Now, Bitcoin has been mostly trending above this line since we did have the big breakout back in October. Any retest of this line has actually been a really good entry, a great dip to buy, right? And anytime the price has actually gone under this line has represented a great and often short-lived opportunity to buy the dip or to put in a long on Bitcoin before it continued higher. Now, sustained dips under this trend line, they have happened twice so far during this bull run. They only lasted for 3 days for the first one and 5 days for the second one. So just something to consider. Obviously, no one knows how long this particular dip is going to last, how long we're going to actually be under the 50-period moving average in the 4-hour chart here. But with all that being said, do just tread with caution a bit right now. This rally may be nothing more than a kind of short-lived relief rally. We could still see some of those key levels of support retested. Now, at the time of recording, Bitcoin is struggling to get through the previous support, which is now acting as resistance. That's right around $35,000. 30,000 and 27,500. They are the absolute key levels for us to be watching for Bitcoin right now. Any entries there would probably be, long-term great entries for Bitcoin. But one thing I am convinced of is that $42,000 is not the peak high price for Bitcoin. We are going to go higher. It's just a question of when that's going to happen. And as a reminder, this kind of price behavior is completely normal for Bitcoin. Nothing crazy here. If you are new to these markets, then this is exactly what can and what will happen during a bull market. Now, what I'm showing on the screen now is the 2017 bull market. As you can see, there were many savage corrections. Most of them were actually very short-lived. Some only lasted a day or 2 or 3 days. Some of them, though, lasted a few weeks. All of them were spectacular buying opportunities for Bitcoin. This market is incredibly volatile. Get used to it. You need to be mentally prepared for the reality that we're going to see these kind of dramatic dips happening in the market. These kind of corrections, they're going to happen frequently on our way up to the peak. Just imagine how crazy it's going to be too when Bitcoin, smashes $100,000 one of these days and then corrects down to $70,000. The internet will melt. That's, basically more than Bitcoin's worth overall right now, and that'll just be a correction at some point. Now, if these kind of dips freak you out, then you're probably too exposed. Maybe you're over leveraged. Maybe you don't fully understand the value proposition of Bitcoin. Whatever it might be, though, try to reduce those factors in order to reduce your stress. In fact, what is crazy is that Bitcoin could correct all the way down to $25,000, and that would only be a 40% drop, which historically, no big deal in a bull market. It would still even be above the 50-day moving average, so still in a macro uptrend bull market. And for a bit more perspective for you, Bitcoin still 75% above the 2017 all-time high, and even at the low of the drop today was still 50% above the all-time high. Now, what is insane to think is that we dropped more in the last 3 days than Bitcoin was even worth about 4 months ago. So we've had about a $12,000 drop, and it was under $12,000 back in the start of October. But this is what Bitcoin will do. It will test you again and again and again. Only the strong will survive in long run. Anyway, what the heck caused the dip? Well, part of it, of course, was just simply investors taking profits, which is totally normal in markets. Many of the investors entering the markets right now, they're not wedded to their bags. Even for Bitcoin, I know it's crazy, but this is true. This is true. Those people are here to make cash money in their bank. They will sell when the pumps happen. Normal situation. Nothing to be surprised about there. The second thing is that many traders will have been over leveraged. So when liquidations start happening, they tend to actually have a cascading effect with every liquidation pushing the price down further, creating more and more selling pressure, which in turn causes more liquidations and more selling pressure until we kind of get most of those over leveraged traders kind of washed out. Then, of course, we have the miners. We've actually had a lot of miner activity. Bitcoin miners have been taking profits, a big factor behind this current sell-off. You can see on this chart here that we've had a massive inflow of Bitcoin from known miner addresses into exchanges. And you know what? None of what has happened in the last 24 hours is abnormal. This is all totally normal stuff for Bitcoin. This is the normal ebb and flow of the crypto bull market. And while some people were panic selling, big money, the whales, they were panic buying. Yesterday, we saw an explosion of new whale addresses with more than 1,000 Bitcoin be created. It has gone up by like 50 new whale addresses in the last day, which is phenomenal growth. That's an incredible amount of Bitcoin the whales gobbled up in the last 24 hours, showing that there's incredible demand for Bitcoin around the $30,000 to $35,000 level. Here is an example of one big fat whale withdrawing 1,485 Bitcoin from Coinbase after sucking up a whole lot of plankton. They love panic sellers. Don't play into their game. Look, this bull market is just getting started. We're going to go through many cycles of price pumps and big corrections, and altcoins mooning, and altcoins dumping, and regulatory scares, and insanely bullish news, and all kinds of other things. Everything under the sun could happen, right? The important thing in all of this is to keep your head screwed on. Panic, fear, greed, all of those emotions are a one-way ticket to the frickin' poorhouse in this market. Your brain, which is hardwired for these emotional responses and these emotional patterns, will try its damnedest to try to sabotage you from getting wealthy at every chance it can take. Now, as an investor, you have to learn to be calm. Resist the monkey mind telling you it's all going to go to zero, it's all going to go to the moon all the time. Be rational, right? Anyway, those are just my 2 Satoshis for the day. What do you think? Was $30,000 the bottom for this correction, or are you expecting the price of Bitcoin to go even lower? Maybe that was just a bit of a dead cat bounce and we're gonna head back down. Or are we going straight back up to 40K? I would love to know your opinion down below in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.